In seeking to be a major global power, India risks being undermined in its own Indian Ocean backyard. In his book The India Way, Strategies for an Uncertain World, Indian Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar argues that the nation's overarching strategy should be to maximize gains from as many ties as possible and advance national interests by identifying and exploiting opportunities created by global contradictions. India is extending its influence in world politics and cultivating ties with the main nations to achieve this goal. This could, however, conflict with its regional interests and strategic independence, China says. After the Korean War, which was started by China to build a buffer state of North Korea, Jawaharlal Nehru, India's first Prime Minister, was adamant about keeping his country out of the burgeoning major power conflict. He supported the non-aligned movement, whose guiding principles were adopted at the Bandung Conference in 1955. However, China betrayed him in 1962. During the Cold War, India was, in fact, non-aligned, but in the post-Cold War period, it changed to strategic autonomy. It aims to maintain a favorable balance of power in the area by skillfully hedging its bets and forging ties with other nations. India, for instance, is establishing a position for itself in the Pacific area by seeking a strategic engagement with the United States and joining the Quad. It also just became a member of the multinational Middle East-focused cooperation I2U2. India aspires to establish solid relations with Iran and Saudi Arabia simultaneously. India also participates in the BRICS and the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, organizations that also include China and Russia. New Delhi and Moscow have had tight connections for a long time, extending back to the Cold War. India has thereby improved its relationships with all the key players on the international stage. Do these relationships, particularly concerning the Indian Ocean area, serve Indian national interests? One of the key energy, trade, and commercial routes is the Indian Ocean. It may be advantageous to have naval control of choke spots in the area, such as the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, Hormuz, and Malacca Strait. India sees this area as its sphere of influence and is aware of the benefits of controlling it. New Delhi, the only area and ocean in the world named after a single state, sees the Indian Ocean as its backyard and believes it both natural and desirable that India serve as, ultimately, the leader and the main influence in this region, according to historian Donald L. Berlin. The Indian Ocean area is at the top of our strategic goals, according to Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. India wants to protect the area and views itself as the region's main source of security against hegemonic China. India wants to protect the Indian Ocean area, much like the US, a global power, and would not tolerate any effort by a foe like China to exercise influence there. However, the naval presence of powerful nations, whether strategic allies or adversaries, weakens their position in the area. China's sway over the Indian Ocean area has greatly increased. Beijing set up a military installation in debt-trapped Djibouti in 2017. New Delhi faces a threat from China's String of Pearls plan, which includes port expansions in Myanmar, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and Pakistan. Despite accusations of espionage, Sri Lanka was recently forced to let the Chinese research ship Yuan Wang 5 land at the Hambantota port, which is under Chinese occupation. A problem is also presented by AUKUS, the trilateral security agreement between Australia, the US, and the UK. India also opposes the idea of a belligerent party like China stationing nuclear-powered submarines in the eastern Indian Ocean. A U.S. freedom of navigation operation in New Delhi's exclusive economic zone drew criticism the previous year. As a significant partner of French-speaking Madagascar and Comoros, France also has interests in the area. Another interesting development is the rise of Russian interest in the Indian Ocean area. Moscow planned to build a Navy logistics base in Sudan public in 2020. Russia took part in 2 international naval drills in the Indian Ocean last year, one with Iran and one as part of a multilateral exercise coordinated by Pakistan. Weak powers countries like Pakistan are being propped up by China, and are also attempting to expand their influence in the area. While the expanding influence of New Delhi's allies offers its rivals a justification to strengthen their presence, the military presence of multiple states in the Indian Ocean area presents obstacles to India's goals. Says China. India has to serve as the region's security provider when it is not the only power there. India faces risks in its backyard and compromising its priorities by overextending itself and striving to stand up to Chinese bullying.